Today we're going to be talking about painting the roof and applying the window stickers on your Lexus LBX Morizo. We are going to mask this car, and by masking what I mean is we're going to use this tape right here, this painter's tape, to basically cover up the parts that we don't want to paint on this car. So I want to get the entire roof here black. Now here, this panel here, I could try to remove this panel, but it seems to be stuck in place. So I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to paint kind of around it. So I'm going to try to get the top window here. The easiest way is to get the top window here, including these windows here. So the easiest way is to get the top part here, the entire roof, and then I'll be able to add the stickers from the Morizo set onto the windows. So here are the stickers. They look like this. So I'm going to be applying these onto the windows on the front and the sides. Here you see there's like a roof sticker right here, but I don't want to use that. I want to basically paint this so that I can get the natural indentations. If you take a look at the top part here, there are some natural indentations here. So this is like a model that is ripe for painting to make it look better. I mean, I could basically just use the sticker and then I can get something that looks like this, but I won't get the indentations, and so it's just not going to look as nice as if I had painted it. So as you see here, I'm going to try to paint all around here, this top part, and then place the stickers on top. I already have the front part here, the front grille, painted. And again, I stuck the part in, and it doesn't want to come out. So I'm sure there's a way to get it out, but I don't want to crack any of the pieces that are on here. So cracking this, it'll never be the same, and so it's not a good idea to try to remove this. Even as delicately as possible, there's always going to be some sort of a bend in the plastic, and I don't want to disturb that. So I can easily cover this up easily enough with painter's tape. It's just this part roof here, and I think I want to actually paint over this as well, so I get one solid finish on the top. So we're going to try that, because this top part here did not end up being as shiny as I wanted it to be, whereas this part here, this window, is like shinier than this part. So yeah, we're going to try again and paint everything on top here. And so yeah, we're going to do this by masking and then painting. So masking is not as difficult as it sounds. It's basically just using pieces of painter's tape and applying them to the model to cover up the parts that you don't want the paint to touch. So here we're going to try to find the roof part here, and we're trying to move along the outline of the roof with this tape. So we have this as a guide right here. We have this picture as a guide. And so as you see, we want to basically get the edge right here and this part right over the door sill, and all along the front. And so yeah, it should be relatively easy, but as you well know, like this could be challenging for spray paint, because spray paint can get into little nooks and crannies, little corners, and those little corners, you might not be able to see them with the naked eye. So that's why you have to do some close-up work as best you can to try to get the tape down and secure. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So here we have a strip of painter's tape, and the easiest thing to do first is to just cover up the top part here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just tear off a piece like this, and I will cover up this part here. So what I'm doing is I'm covering tape to the line right here. And then when I secure it in place, I'm going to press down and even use my nail to scratch it down so that it stays on the surface. And then I'll just tuck this over the edges like this, and that's good. And I'll continue with the front. I want to protect all this stuff from being spray painted over. So I'm going to cover this, overlap the tape, just like so, and then down. And so this should more or less protect this front grille, but for added protection, I'm going to add another layer over this whole thing once we're done. So here you can use your nail and just like tack it down even further so that there's an airtight seal and no chance for any of the spray drops to actually touch a surface you don't want to touch. So here I'm going to continue to remove strips of tape and get it to a point where the whole thing is covered but the roof. So I could go from top down, but I can also go from bottom up. So what I'm going to do is cover up the bottom of the doors and then move upward. I can tuck this in like so, cover up the back, and do this on the other side as well. You can even overlap like this. Fold it in, tuck it in, and then another strip. So what I like to do is I like to cut long strips and then I just tear off pieces. Okay, so I'm going to go along the door sill right here. There. Very, very close. And then use your thumbnail to kind of rub along here to secure it in place and to squeeze out any air bubbles. So we're not done yet because of these edges right here, so we'll get to them. Let's do the other side. Oh, when you have a piece that's like this, that's a little bent, right? Don't use that to try to secure some important area. Use it as kind of like secure tape. And by secure tape, I mean we'll just like use it to reinforce certain areas. So just put this aside, this piece, and start with a new piece. So all along my tape here, every now, because I separated the tape, these were all connected together in one big roll. I had to use scissors to basically lodge into here so that I can remove these two rolls. So that's why every now and again there's going to be a bump on there. So let's not use that piece for our purposes here. Okay, so here we have a nice pristine piece, and we'll just lay it across here. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you make a mistake, then just remove the tape and start again. There's no harm in making any mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn. So here, I think I can get a little closer than that. Let's see. So yeah, I made a mistake, and that's how we learn. Okay. I think we're close. I think we can do better. Let me see. And if you keep removing and reapplying the tape, that could be bad, right? You might need a new strip of tape. Oh, and try not to have any bubbles underneath too. So make sure that when you're applying this, that it goes straight across. Curving tape is sometimes not a good idea. Sometimes it's better to use pieces and to just tape over, tape over, tape over until you get that desired curve. And I'll show you what I mean by that soon. Okay, so I think this is more or less good. No, it could be better. It could definitely be better. That's the perfectionist in me speaking. Yeah, I want to definitely get the little strip right there, that little strip of black should be painted. So here, I've run this along the door sill, and now I'm running my thumbnail across this so that it'll secure the tape in place. Now, it's never going to be totally perfect, but you want it to be good enough so that from the naked eye you can see that everything looks nice. Upon closer inspection, only like serious model builders should be able to see that there are faults in your paint job. So don't worry that much about like a paint job that's not 100% accurate. You want to get to be, let's call it 98% accurate, and then you'll be good. Okay, so I think I've secured this nicely here, and now we're going to do these curved parts here because that's what I chose. So here, let's see, no, not that one. Okay, maybe this one. And I'm going to use not this damaged part here, but the other side and the other side. Then I can basically lay the tape like so, drape it across just like so. So here you see like a rough angle, right? And we're going to improve the angle over time with more tape. So here, I just placed it over like at a 45-degree angle. And now there's these little spots here and here to fill in, and we're going to do that. So first we're going to rub this down, make sure it's secure, and then we're going to apply another strip of tape over that. And that might be enough, actually. I mean, it's rough, but like I said, 98% is better than It's better than 50%. Okay. And it might go even more, because that's how I am, perfectionist. There. Well, we're very close there on that side. Let's see if we can get it good on this side. And as you see, it's like so close, right? We just need a piece here and here. If you want a precise cut instead of tear, then yeah, cut it with your scissors. So you now need to do a visual inspection to make sure that everything that you want painted is going to be painted, and everything that you want omitted is going to be omitted. So here I'm just running my thumbnail across here, and it should feel more or less smooth, and if it doesn't, then you might need to apply more tape. And you have to closely inspect things if you want your paint job to be perfect. So nothing's ever going to be perfect, right? It's going to be like 98% perfect. We are not necessarily striving for perfection, right? We're just trying to do a really good job. And I think that's more important, to do a really good job and feel good about the job that you did. If you chase perfection, sometimes it gets frustrating when you don't achieve the 100% perfection. And so being satisfied with slightly less than perfection is sometimes a good thing. Because we know that with enough time and labor involved, we can hit that perfection. And if you want to spend all that time doing that, please do so if that makes you happy. That's the important thing. Trying to make yourself happy doing what is basically considered a hobby, right? So once you lose the fun in any hobby, then it's no longer a hobby. It's no longer fun. It's just work. And so why are you doing it then, right? So this should be fun. This should be a fun exercise, so to speak. So here, I'm just making sure that I'm securing the tape more. I know that I can probably get another piece of tape in there somewhere. And let's see. Looking at this, I think it might be fine, to be quite honest. I think if I mess with it more, it might turn out worse than if I did not mess with it. And so that's what you have to think about too. How much improvement can you make on your models before you end up like ruining them, right? So there's a possibility that chasing perfection will cause you to ruin something, and then suddenly it's not even 98% perfect anymore. It's less. And so you have to consider that when you're doing all of this paint work. It's not about perfection. It's about having fun. It's rewarding to see something come to fruition, something that you worked on and you made your own. Okay, good. Then we got this piece right here. We'll use a little piece for that. Okay, I think I'm satisfied with this right side here, and then I'll move to the left side. Okay, so look at the reflection right here. You see that? That line? That should look like the reflection here on this side, this line. And then look at the next thing right here, which is the line that goes up here. That reflection should look like this reflection, which it does. It does, more or less does, yeah. And then we just make sure that everything's secure. And I'm going to cover up the rest of this back window. I'm not so concerned about paint covering up the parts that are already painted here, but it would be nice to try to get everything to look even at the very end, right? So that's the important thing. We just want to make sure that all the parts that are not supposed to be touched on will be covered and will be good. So you know that you're like a total perfectionist when you even look at the underside of the car, and if you get any spray paint underneath there, then you feel bad about it. And then you have to spray the underneath part too. And when it gets to that point, then you know that you're just trying to chase perfection and probably are doing this more as like a work thing than a hobby thing. So try not to worry too much about things that you can't control. There will be spray paint that will find its way underneath there, and there's nothing you can do in many cases other than cover up the bottom part too. But nobody sees the bottom part. If somebody takes your cowl off of your car and inspects the bottom, then he or she has like serious issues. So we're going to paint this top part now and cover it up with paint, and then we'll let it dry. We'll do several coats until we achieve a smooth finish. You could also do thicker coats, but it'll be a lot harder to dry, and I don't recommend that, especially on a model of this nature in which you want to see these details right here, the details in the roof and the details in the sides right here. And if we do this right, it's going to turn out very beautiful. Just make sure everything's secure, and then we'll be able to secure it onto our paint box, and then we'll spray paint. Now this is basically my paint box right here, and what I did was I used an old boot box. So I have like lots of pairs of UGG boots and UGG shoes. So I just took one of those old boxes, I attached a paper clip right here with tape, and that allows me to basically suspend things from here. And I could tape things down into the box without having to worry about damaging anything on, like, say, a floor. You don't want to ever paint on a bare floor. You want to cover up things with newspaper or use a box like this. And the box is handy because all the paint gets kind of like, it stays within the box, so long as you paint properly. So, yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this thing right in the box right here. So how do we do this? I'll show you. We have a front part, we have a back part, and we're going to secure it that way. We're going to just basically take tape, a long strip of tape, and we're going to attach the tape right like so, covering up this top part here. There we go. And we'll do this a couple of times on the top and the bottom to secure it in place. Don't worry so much about damaging the tape here, because this is just tape that we're using to secure objects. So just make sure that it's secure in place and that it doesn't move. Make sure that the tape that secures the car part is not covering up a place where you want the paint to go. I know it sounds obvious, these things I'm saying, but a lot of people don't think about these things when they're in the heat of the moment trying to do this work, right? And so you have to think about these things. Now, if you really want to try to prevent the underside of the cowl from getting painted, then you'll do your best to try to cover up this front part as well as the back part. And so the only way the paint can get in through here is underneath, maybe there, and trust me, it will get into there. You can seal it off if you'd like, seal it off completely. But again, don't chase perfection. 100% might not be a reality. Go for 98% and you'll be a lot happier. Okay, so we've secured the car cowl in place. Now we're going to select our paint and we're going to paint our car. Now, I don't think I have to show you how to paint. So the important thing is to use paint that has been properly shaken up. So spray paint is one of those things where if you leave the spray paint on the shelf for too long, then it'll sit there and kind of get gloopy inside the can. So usually there is a marble inside spray paint cans in which you have to shake it up real good, and then you'll hear the marble move around freely inside. So if you just leave your spray paint can on the shelf for like months, let's say, it's going to get thick and gloopy inside. And so when you shake the can, the marble is not going to feel or sound as loose as it should. So you have to basically keep shaking the can until you hear the marble clearly moving around inside the can. So then once you can achieve that, then you've got the proper consistency of paint inside the can, and then you can lightly coat your model with the paint. And you want to do even strokes. You don't want to try to concentrate on one area. Although in many cases, if you do concentrate in an area, you can get a really nice smooth finish if the paint dries properly in those areas. Now, if you use a thick coat and everything starts welling up over to one side, then that's not good because then you'll get gloopy marks. And that's what you saw in my previous video on the Ryzan when I painted and it got a little overzealous and the paint started dripping towards the ends, and so there was a little bit of gloopiness on the ends. So we're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. We want a nice smooth surface so that we can apply the stickers to this car properly. Right? So we have window stickers, and the only way that we can get a smooth finish on the windows is if we have a smooth coat of paint on top. Okay, so here it is, and we can remove the tape now. Here we have this has got like a totally different looking look to it than this part here. So what we can do is we can mask this part here and try to remove this paint and try to redo the paint, or we can leave it as is. And remember I talked about not chasing perfection. If you chase perfection, then, like the next time you try this, it might even be worse than what you started with. And that's happened to me several times. So we can be happy with this, or we could try to continue and make it look better. So it's your choice, really. For me, I thought long and hard about this. I thought about removing this paint, but using various products, you might be removing other things accidentally. So it might be better to just keep it as is and just have this texture as like a unique part of this car. So here, you can say that this part here should connect to here, and you could say that, oh, I should redo this. The easiest way to remove this paint is to use a product that can remove the paint properly. Another way you can do is to use a file and then try to file it down so that it's a smooth surface, but then you might take away these ridges right here. In fact, you probably will. So you have to think about the trade-off between removing the paint and redoing it, or just keeping it as is and just calling it a day. So if you look at the sides here, I've got a little bit of that texture right there as well on the ends. And so I could be sad about it, or I can just live life and continue on. And I think I want to continue on. So here, unfortunately, there was like a floating piece of thread that kind of like got onto the model, and I tried to scratch it off and remove it, and I painted over it, and the thread was still there. So it's not easy to remove these random threads that kind of fall on your model, or random dust particles. It just happens. And we see here there's another random dust particle that just landed right there. So unless you have like a dust-free environment that you're working with, then it'll be very difficult to prevent dust from getting onto your paint job. So unfortunately, I painted this while I was outside in the city atmosphere, and there was just some dust floating around. So that's just what happened. This side looks very nice, actually. So yeah, no dust hit this part here, but dust certainly landed here and here. And again, so I can cry about it and redo it, or I can just accept it as is. So at this point in time, I'm going to accept it as is. Maybe if I were to build another model of this, now that I have this knowledge of how to paint this properly, I will just consider attaching all the parts and covering up the entire thing, and then just painting it all in one shot rather than painting each of these individual parts and then putting them onto the cowl. So yeah, remember that every time you build a model, it's a learning experience. It's something that will help you gain knowledge so that the next time you attempt to build the same model, you'll have that knowledge and you'll be able to basically improve upon the skills that you didn't have before. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to carefully remove the tape here. Try not to leave any of the tape on the model. And if we remove the tape right, then it shouldn't disturb any of the details on the cowl. So remember what I said about paint kind of leaking through? There's right there, paint somehow leaked through and it ended up on this ridge right here, but it's not too bad. It's just the ridge. The ridge I can live with. Well, it's looking pretty nice so far. So I'm actually okay with the window looking smooth like this, and the top looking a little jaggedy like that. To remove residue, you can also, there's some glue residue right there. You can take a piece of tape and you can just kind of like try to detach the sticky stuff that's there. But know full well that you might not be able to remove it easily. So I'm basically just placing it on the sticky stuff and just pulling quickly and removing the adhesive residue. Now you want to let your paint dry, right, before you attempt to do anything like this. Let it dry for hours. If you have the patience, let it dry for 24 hours. But you really don't have to let it dry for 24 hours. I let it dry for about 3-4 hours. 3 hours. Some paints dry faster than others. Okay, there we go. And surprisingly, shockingly, we don't see any paint on the underside. So that's pretty cool. We did a good job masking the entire thing. And here's the end result. Very cool. I would say it's a success, except for this little part here. But again, try not to chase perfection. There's some paint that found its way here, but yeah, that's just how it is. So this is pretty cool. I like it. Not perfect, but it's as good as it could be. So yeah, and then we'll continue by placing the stickers, attaching the stickers on these relatively smooth parts here. This is smooth, this is smooth. This is not so smooth because of this window that has a dust hair on it. So hopefully the stickers will not look distorted on this window right here. Okay, so now I'm going to attach the stickers onto the car. So here we go. We want to make sure that the surface is clean. We can use paper towel, we can use our finger and just wipe off the surface, just make sure there's no dust on it. And I think the easiest thing to do is to first put this main window on, this front windshield. So that's what we're going to do. So try to line it up as best you can. And, oh, let's do it this way. Okay, so it kind of overlaps that window. I thought we had to place the windshield sticker within the lines, but that's not the case. I guess I could have reshaped this, right? So that I just cover the window itself and not the details, the trim. So yeah, I think this is about as good as we can get. Yeah. Given the dimensions of the sticker. Okay. And now, if we smooth it out, make sure that there's no bubbles underneath. With these curved stickers, there's always going to be some kind of bubble appearing. Okay. And then, let's try this side here. Let's just make sure this is smooth on this side and smooth on this side. It looks like all the details, the paint that I put on, it's not going to matter much because this covers up the whole thing, and so I kind of don't like that. I kind of want to just cut out the windows. Let's do that. Let's put this back on here. Let's cut this out like this. And let's just trim just the windows out. So do the best you can, trimming just the window. And again, not chasing perfection, just doing the best you can. And being okay with something that's not perfect. Okay, now I have a choice. I could cut this little window out and put it in there, or I could just leave it like that and just have it overlap this window here, this window sill here, this detail. So let's do this. Let's leave it because I think it'll be hard to get that little sticker in that spot. So let's peel the sticker out now and we'll apply the sticker. Oop. There we go. And we smooth it out. And what we have here is a preservation of these windowsills right here. Not the front one so much, but this one here. So that's pretty good. Let's smooth out this little notch corner. Okay. Okay, good. And now the other window, the back window. Let's first figure out how to apply it on here. So I think, does it go this way? Or does it go this way? Okay, it goes this way. I'm going to just make sure it fits first before we try to apply it in there. Okay, good. All right, cool. So let's do it. Okay, and simply rubbing this over and over and over again will get it flatter. And like I said, a preservation of this, and we just have the windows covered. So yeah, I could have done the same with this front part here. But I do like this little detail right here, the silver part. So that's pretty cool. I like that. I would not have been able to get this, the windshield wipers, in there if I cut them out. So yeah, but I could have cut out this part here, the inner part of the black, and that would have preserved the windowsill all around. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. And let's try the other side. So just make sure that we rub our nail through down here, and we just flatten it out more. And we can continue to rub like this. We hold on the other side. Place your finger here, and then place your thumb here, and you're basically holding the cowl underneath while you rub the sticker on top with your thumb, and that'll flatten things out better. It's more smooth. So there's a paint technique right there. Let's try the other side. So the other side, same deal. We're going to cut this the same way. And yeah, oh, we don't get that silver trim right there, but that's okay. I've decided for myself that I don't care about that silver trim that much. So there you go. And let's see, let's just cut this like so. And we're gonna cut the windows out. Just the greenish part. Not chasing perfection. Some of these straight parts you can just simply place the blade against and then cut like this. Okay, we'll cut this window out. Cut this window out. All right. I think we're pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look here. What do we have? We have this window right here and the front window. So let's try. So removing stickers that are cut like this, you have to curl the sticker a little bit and then slip your thumbnail underneath the backing paper and the sticker itself. And be very careful doing so. You don't want to bend the sticker too much. Otherwise you'll have a permanent crease in the sticker. Just curl it a little bit and then try to peel away the sticker from the backing. It's like threading a needle, threading a thread through a needle eye. Okay, here we go. There we go. Oh, it's not perfect. Nothing ever is, but it's good enough. Okay. And the other one. So curl, peel. Oh, this one came out easily. Good. Okay, here we go. Well, I would say that you pretty much cannot see the thread that's like gotten onto the paint surface. So I'm fine with that. Now the window in the rear. Let's take a look at that. I guess it'll cover up these imperfections here. So let's see what this can do. This back window. Well, it did in fact cover up the imperfections of the spray paint on the rear. So I'm okay with it. Pretty cool. I like that. So as you see, I don't need to use this, right? Because I already painted this. So yeah. Not bad at all. So yeah. Yeah, a little bit of a cut mistake here with the decal. But yeah, you could use a pen, one of those little like Gundam pens. You can color in that part there. Let's see if I have a Gundam pen. Yeah, you can use something like this. You can also use a Sharpie. So let's see, we'll do the Sharpie method first. There we go. There you go. It's a little shiny, but to the naked eye, you can't see it. Okay, and we'll get rid of all these little scraps right here because we don't need them. So one of the things I want to put on here is the little Lexus logo. So we're going to try to use, I think we're going to try to use tweezers for that because this is a very small and dainty sticker. We're going to use our very special tweezers, these needle nose tweezers, to apply this Lexus sticker onto the front grille right here. Not the grille, but this front hood ornament. And I would suggest that you have an adult supervising you in doing this because you don't want to accidentally cause an injury to yourself. These are very sharp and you need somebody to kind of overlook what you're doing. So here we go. Sharp objects are no joke. You want to stay as safe as possible. All right. That worked out. That worked out very nicely. So there it is. And do I want anything else on here? I don't think I want these headlights because I'm fine with this. I think this looks cool with black headlights like this. And so I don't need what you see there. And I don't think I want this grille either, saying LBX on it. I like this front part here. And on the rear, let's see, what do we have? We have this, where does this go? Oh, it probably goes here, and I don't think I want it, to be quite honest. I think it looks really cool like this. And these are the rear lights. I guess I can put them on, but I don't think I want them either because I like the way it looks just like this. And so if I place this cowl right on the car like as it is right now, I think I'm pretty much done. So yeah, take a look at that. The rear, the side, the front. Like I could put these stickers on, but then it'll look like everybody else's car. And I really like how I made this front look right here. And you could paint this whatever you want. You could have painted it silver, for example, or I guess you could paint it the same color as this, but why do that? Then the whole thing will just be one solid color. So you want to have a contrasting color. So I think black or maybe gunmetal or silver would be good. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done. And then we can apply the cowl latch right here. And when we apply the cowl latch and we swing it over to the left, now there's a smidge more weight on the left side. I think it'll help with the lane changer on a 3-lane track. So there we go. I think we're done with this. As done as I would like. So yeah, pretty cool. So yes, customizing your car sometimes requires a little bit more work, but it's worth it. So everybody, if you like this video, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel. You'll see more videos just like this one. Until next time, everybody, see you. Bye.